Welcome to the SmartTech Check podcast, hosted by Mark Vina, your home for candid, insightful, and provocative conversations about the smart home automation, security, smartphones, PC and console gaming, and much more.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Vina, host of the SmartTech Check podcast. Today is Thursday, March 23rd, 2023. Next week, HP will announce its well-regarded Amplify Partner Conference in Chicago, which I'll have the good fortune to attend in person. In advance of the conference, I'm pleased to introduce Mary Beth Walker, HP's Global Channel Strategy Leader, on today's podcast to chat about the company's Amplify Impact program, which focuses on partner sustainability, work that is focused on climate action, human rights, and digital equity in more than 40 countries. Mary Beth, welcome to the podcast. I hope you'll be dressed warmly for next week's conference in Chicago.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, what I like to do before we get into the meat of the Amplify Impact content, I like to walk people through who I have on the podcast, their background, their career journey. Let me bring that up on the screen here so you can see that. But this is the slide where you talk about yourself. So let's hear about you.
Okay. So I've had my whole career in technology, started out in software and then professional services for about 20 years after that. And spent the most of my time after that in strategy and planning, in global accounts and enterprise accounts for a long time. And most recently in the channel. Right now I run channel strategy here at HP.
And let's talk a little bit about, for those who may not be familiar with channel strategy, what does that role do? Of course, I know what that does because HP's had a long commitment in the channel for many, many years, decades, not just years. So let's talk about why that's so important, the channel component of HP's strategy.
Well, first of all, almost 90%, over 85% of HP's revenue actually goes through the channel. So making sure that we have the right program to work with and attract and pay benefits to our partners is extremely important to us. So from a strategy perspective, we need to always be looking a couple years ahead. What are the trends? What do we see happening? What's working and not working? What do partners like and not like? And then make sure that we're building a program around those things to help us actually capitalize with partners on business.
That's great. No, that's great. And I think, sometimes people, are somewhat in this, kind of obsession that some people have with direct business models. HP has had an enormous amount of success with its channel partners, and they really, truly view them as partners. Partners is not an inaccurate term. And it's so important that, of course, comes to life when we have these big sessions like the Amplify conference in Chicago. But let's now go into some of the detail. The Amplify Impact element is a part of the overall strategy that HP has in place. Let's talk about what the Amplify Impact program is.
Sure. So Amplify Impact it's a first of its kind program that basically provides training and I'd say a pretty rich set of assets that are intended to help our partners reach, or in a lot of cases, establish their sustainability strategy for their company. And in our quest to become the most just and sustainable technology company, we really feel strongly that we need to be bringing our partners along on that journey. We also realize that a lot of our partners are small. They don't have the resources that HP has to make some of the investments in trainings and investment and initiatives. And so we said, why wouldn't we share what we've already done with our partners and save them from having to make some of those investments by being able to leverage, our work. So we set out to share all of our assets with partners and be able to put together this program to actually help them execute on a sustainability plan for their company. So we've launched this program. It's a voluntary program in 43 countries at this point, with about a third of our partners joining and participating so far.
And, the one thing that's to me very interesting is that HP's culture, the corporate culture, really has a tremendous amount of synergy with what you're trying to achieve with Amplify Impact. And by definition, I believe that has to extend to your relationships with your business partners. But let's talk about how the HP culture kind of intersects with many of these goals that Amplify Impact is trying to achieve.
Yeah, so really, as I said earlier, we have a goal, a very lofty goal, to become the most just and sustainable technology company in the world by 2030. And there's a rich set of goals that we have behind that. And we feel really strongly, as the founders of HP did years and years ago, that taking care of both our fellow man and the planet are extremely important to why we're in business and what we set out to do. And we want to work with partners who have that same set of values and who feel like that's really important to them as well. And we think that by giving them Amplify Impact as a tool, that we really can bring those two, the two parties together and get the best chances of success possible.
Right. And I think it's wonderful, since HP has enormous resources, to be able to harness those resources for your business partners who want to achieve those same goals. That's a pretty significant undertaking, and it's not, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. Let's go to the next slide and talk about. Let's go, flip this around a little bit. What kind of feedback do you get from partners on Impact? Because again, this is not brand new. You've had this in place for some time. But what do you hear from partners typically on the program?
Yeah, so we've had the program in place for a little over a year and almost 2 now, I guess. The overall feedback is extremely positive. And feedback is really one of the cornerstones to our success, because we know there are things that partners will rely on HP for, like training, social media assets, things like that. There's other things that they'll be like, look, we'll do that on our own. We don't really want your help there. And that's really important to us. Now, how we get at that is one of the first things that a partner does after they pledge is to take an assessment. And the result of that assessment not only gives the partner a view of their capabilities, but it also gives them a recommended set of actions that they can take to move their strategy forward. That assessment also gives us an idea of what they want from HP. And we use that feedback to fuel the enhancements that we make to the program. So for instance, one of the newest assets that we have is called Global Good Community Project. It's a platform that connects partners with a curated series of projects that are offered by volunteer and donation opportunities through NGOs around the world. And this empowers the partners to actually meet some of their goals in a way that they didn't really know how to go about and how to make happen before. So we use their feedback to create this for them and help them actually go look at how they can really rev up their whole volunteer efforts and donation efforts that they're doing.
You know what's fascinating to me about and I know I'll see this next week in person. It's what's fascinating about the interaction between the HP management team and these partner conferences is the tremendous amount of time you have focused on breakout meetings between the HP executives of different business groups and the partners, because it's not like a conference that has nonstop presentations. I want to guess that probably 70% of the conference is getting feedback from partners. So the HP really comprehends that feedback in a very genuine way, correct?
And listen, if we don't listen to our partners, they'll go somewhere where people will listen to them. And, we want to grow together with them. So we have to create an environment where they feel like they can be successful in growing their business. And we feel like they can be successful in creating brand advantage for HP. So listening to them, sitting down with them, having as many of our employees as possible hear directly from them what's working and what's not working is really key and very, very important to us.
And it's tough to hear feedback sometimes. Sometimes sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's constructive. And I know HP has a great reputation for acting on the feedback. So I think that's always a great business practice. But let's get back to, from a value standpoint. Why does, at the end of the day, the business partners really value the Amplify Impact program? Let's talk about from a business aspect.
Yeah. So there's no doubt. And I'll say even over the last 24 months, the way that the notion of sustainability actually being to impact a partner's business has really started to hit home with them. I would say, especially for smaller partners. And so we've seen where they're starting to realize more and more deals are requiring them to be able to say what their products and services are looking like from a sustainability perspective. In FY21, as a company, we had $3.5 billion in sales where the customer told us sustainability was the deciding factor. Just in the last 14 months, we've had 7,000 deals from the partners who are part of Amplify Impact where they told us that sustainability was what drove those decisions. So partners are seeing this is important, the level of importance that they're giving it, and are recognizing the benefit of is just continuing to get more momentum. And it varies in different parts of the world. You'll see that, there's parts of Europe where they're actually moving as fast as anybody possibly can. There's other parts of the world that aren't that far along, but we want to be able to show all of them that not only is it your customers who this is important to, but it's your employees and it's your investors and places where they might not have thought a couple of years ago that people would ask them about their sustainability strategy. Like when they go to get money, they're asking now. And so they really value that we are willing to help them, help show them the way and give them assets that can help them.
Well, and one thing you said I thought was very interesting, and I want to amplify it, is that not only are the business partners asking for more products and solutions that have a strong sustainability element to it, but customers, the end users themselves, corporations are issuing RFQs that have specific call outs that, hey, when we buy printers, consumables, devices of all types, that sustainability has to be first and foremost part of the construct of those products. So am I off base about that, or are you getting pulled from that element as well?
No, you're not off base at all. And it's something that we need to be able to, both continue to do in our innovation, and that's a huge, area of concentration for us. But to the point of Amplify Impact, actually, unless we go out there and we teach the reps at all of our partners and teach the executives, not only about the importance of sustainability itself and have a conversation about that, but how HP is handling sustainability in our products and the strength that we have there, we can't be successful. So getting to those reps and making sure that we're educating them is really important to our value proposition.
Sure. Well, we have a few minutes left here. I want to hit one last topic here, and let me pull that up. And that is, it would not be an HP program if there was not an awards component to it. I'm sure we're going to hear more about that in the not too distant future. But let's talk about the awards element to it, because I think that's a great way to kind of honor the resources and activities the business partners are putting into this program. But let's talk about that element if we could.
You hit the nail on the head there. This is a voluntary program, but for the partners who are engaging, they really are working hard and putting a lot of time and energy into their efforts. And we want to honor the front runners with our inaugural awards. We want to use our awards to entice other people to engage. And so this year we're celebrating the accomplishments of partners across 6 categories, ranging from business excellence to climate action to diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's details about all the awards on the HP Partner Portal, and the full list of our 6 global and 43 country winners is on the HP Newsroom. It's been great to see the level of interest and passion around this, really, with our partners. It's such an important topic, and I want to congratulate all the winners for their hard work and impactful results.
Well, that's great. Anything to add before we conclude the podcast, Mary Beth?
I think for partners listening, if you haven't checked out the program, please do. We really think that it can be beneficial to you, and we look forward to having you participate. And thanks for the opportunity to come and talk about it today.
No, in fact, I've got a QR code that we're going to pull up in a second, so people conveniently can hop right to that website and get more information. But Mary Beth, listen, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for taking the time to join me for today's podcast. For our viewing and listening audience, thanks for making the SmartTech Check podcast part of your day or commute. Please make sure that you hit the like and subscribe buttons at the end of today's podcast and use these on-screen QR codes to connect with me. You can also follow me on Twitter at Mark Vina Tech Guy. Mary Beth, I'll see you in Chicago next week. And until next time, have a great week.
See you in the Windy City. Thanks for inviting me.